Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit View Time. Today we've got Tamiya's brand new tooled 1/48 scale P-38 FG Lightning. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't really get excited about this plane until I saw it in the flesh at Telford a couple of weeks ago, where a good couple of my friends had built it. And it looks absolutely stunning. And now they've told me how fantastic it goes together and how the engineering's on another level and everything. So now I've got quite excited and I might end up building it. But anyway, we've got the kit in to have a look finally. So, as always, it is available through the PM store if you want to get it from us, or you can get it from all your local places as always. So again, Tamiya's typical box with the box art looking absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, again, it's a very iconic aircraft, the P-38, and it's one of those ones which I think somewhat gets overlooked by perhaps things like the Mustang and Spitfires and stuff like that. But as far as it goes for sort of a medium to long range fighter and things like that, it was pretty much unsurpassed. The thing was very quick, okay? Plus the fact it's got some kudos as well for shooting down Yamamoto when he's going between the islands and things like that. So the aircraft itself's got plenty of history and well deserved, okay? So looking around on the box, we can see we've got the box art options for them. So we've got White 33, which is from the 39th Fighter Squadron, 35th Fighter Group, 5th Air Force, okay? Or we've got White 147, which is the 339th Fighter Squadron, the 347th Fighter Group, 13th Air Force, okay? Pretty much that standard sort of olive drab over the sort of natural grey, as you might imagine. Colour call-outs are down in here, calling out for olive drab and natural grey, and obviously the AS colours because, you know, as you say, it's a larger kit, so for some reason Tamiya still maintained to hold on to that thing about using spray cans, okay? So kit number for this one is number 20, or if you want the full one, it's 61120. Okay. Again, it is endorsed, as most products are these days, by Lockheed Martin. And a couple of pictures. So in the box itself, we can see we are greeted by, and this is the first time this box has been opened or looked at or anything else, by the actual main wing fuselage. Nice system having it in this one piece. That way we've got no nasty seam lines, and also the geometry for the anhedral and the dihedral and all those things like that is pretty much taken care for you, so that's really nice. All separate bagged, okay, although it has still got staples, so yeah, okay, as we can see with these. We'll go through these properly in a second, but you see multiple bags. Clip-ups, we'll put those off to one side, and we've got a dual, okay, and then singles, and then down at the bottom, oh, hello, oh, it's stuck, hold on, I'm going to have to try and get them out. It looks like, as you can see here, we've got a couple of nose weights, okay, so to be honest, I'm probably going to leave them stuck in there because that's what they are, but we've got 3 ball bearings which we assume go in there, and actually that explains why that box is a little bit heavier on that side, okay, so that's what those are. So okay, so you get a nice nose weight as well, takes a bit of the guesswork out what you're going to need. Okay, usual thing, we've got the decals, and we've got a mast set which won't be cut. We've got a beautiful pull out, usually to scale as well, and the usual blurb on how to build a model aircraft, and we've got the one on the actual real thing itself, and it's quite handy because it's got the call outs of what they are, which is good for me. Basic information about the actual aircraft, and like that, multiple languages right the way through. Okay, so starting with the old instructions as always. What we're going to do is just have a good look through, see how it all goes together. All right, so 2 options, as we said before. I don't know if they're going to be kit specific, but maybe some just general little parts as well. Okay, so starting off with the actual instrument panel, usual thing. So it looks like we've got decals for all the instruments going down in there. I'm sure aftermarket ones will be jumping on this with gusto as we speak. Okay, but that's your difference. There's a slight difference between the cockpits of both types. All right, so that's that one in there. Then moving right the way through, so obviously all the internals, as you might imagine, sidewalls for the cockpit, all of those gorgeous details going in to make up a fully detailed cockpit tub. Okay, so all of that being put in like that. There's a couple of markers to put in here just to remember to take out the sprue tabs, because you're probably going to have the overlap ones in there. We'll show you those in a moment. And then that tub is going to drop into the top part of the actual wing section, giving a very nice clean fit down underneath there. Again, talking about all of these little tabs to take out, make sure you take them out, because if you don't, you know about it, because it just won't go together. Okay. We've actually got, looks like the boarding ladder in the deployed position, or you can have it closed as well, just down in there, and a couple of call outs for the tops areas on this one to be shown as they go right the way through. Wing spar system going right the way through, one side to the other, again really nice. It means it for easy alignment, and then some details being added onto those for the actual nose wheel well, I presume. Okay, then we've got a bulkhead going in, so we've got a couple of bulkheads on the back, one in there as well. Depending on your fuel tank layouts as well, we've got to open up a couple of holes for those. Okay, down in here, and then obviously the wing spar system being fitted down onto the lower part of the wing seat as well. And then obviously this area here is where the nose wheel retracts round. It'll be the top part of that one. Okay, doors being fitted down on the side, so making sure you paint those as well. And then you've got your first weight, which is being footed into here. So it's a nice ball in a nice little socket system going down in there. And you're going to sandwich the lower half with the wing spar to the top part, as you can imagine, as it goes through. Okay. Again, taking care of tabs. Gun system is going to be a straightforward push fit of those going down in there. Again, I'm sure there'll be aftermarket brass ones coming down the line very shortly. Okay. Then we've actually got the tops of the wing sections being fitted on there. Those front parts on those being dropped into those. And then you've got the front and under section down in here, which is showing how those are going to fit in. So they're going to click in from the side. Okay, so this is the section with them sort of sides going onto those, and the nose section as it's all being fitted in there. Okay, underneath we've got the navigation identification lights down underneath, so those being fitted on, and the ones onto the lower wing system, and then the lower wings being fitted to the upper wings. Okay, looks like the control surfaces aren't posable because they're tabbed, so the ailerons are definitely tabbed. Looks like we've got separate wing tips, so we might have another version of this coming down the line. Superchargers being fitted to the tops, being done into those ones, all going in, as you might imagine. And then we've actually got the air intake systems being fitted on as well, and then those are going to drop in. Again, they're like a plug-in fit into that. Looks to be absolutely fantastic. Again, nice to see we get a good part to showing how exactly that goes in. Okay, then we're off to the usual areas, as you might imagine, for down in the gear system and stuff like that. So that's those duct systems being put in there, getting all the parts going right the way down, being fitted in one after the other. We've got the air intake grills, things like that going into this one, and we're working on those nacelle areas, and that's where the other balls are going to come in. So it'll be exactly the same, mirrored with the ball system into the socket, and then those rear booms with the engine nacelles being fitted down onto those. Air scoops, intakes, things like that, usual things going on there. And then you're really just going to rinse and repeat for the other side right the way through on the other one. Okay, those are drop fits straight up underneath and clicking in. Again, angles showing you exactly how those all go in. Really nice. Tail going down into that one, so you've got the rudders and the tailplane being fitted down onto that one, and then wheels and tyres and gear and all the rest of it, as you might imagine. They're a straightforward plug-in fit, and again, nice they go in afterwards. Makes it nice and easy for painting and stuff like that. The doors, to show fantastic detail, are actually laminated together, so that way we shouldn't have any ejector pins. Fingers crossed, Tamiya. Okay, all of those being fitted down into those, you might imagine, exactly the same, so it's got fantastic detail inside and out, okay, with those geared doors, so that hopefully will be ejector pin free. Okay, drop tanks being fitted onto this one, so you've got the tier tanks going down onto there, and obviously all the little aerials, pitos and tubes and stuff like that. Then it's back up to the cockpit, so we've actually got the radio equipment being fitted down on the top area, the seat being dropped in, we've got the armoured plating behind the actual pilot's seat, well, we've got a map case, we've got the seat going in there, a beautiful figure, which usually are very nice as well, so we've got a pilot sitting down in there, and then a full guide about how to mask up the actual clear parts, which, let's face it, it is a little bit of a greenhouse in there, so there'll be lots of framing and things to do. Then we're over here to the gun sight system, so that's being fitted down to the actual front part of the windscreen, that being dropped in the rear part, and then I assume, depending if you're open or closed, which glass areas we're going to be using for that one, and then obviously installing those. Props and spinners, usual thing, being fitted in, polycap ones as well, so that means they can be popped on and off for easy movement. And then we've got the intakes around on those, the engine nacelles as well, being fitted onto that one, and that completes your build. I have to say, looking at it just off the bat, it looks like there's some really nice engineering in that one. So let's hope we've seen things like with those gear doors. Again, we get this lovely pull-out, which is probably easier to show you that way, which should be in scale. They usually do them to scale, so if you wanted to perhaps copy these as well for painting diagrams or even cutting them out and using them as templates, you can do with these, which is absolutely lovely. Both versions, so again, we've got that white 33 or we've got white 147 as well. So that's really nice, easy, and obviously it's all for your stencil guides and all things like that. Okay, so we often talk about Tamiya with its very thick decals. And two bugbears of mine is they're really thick, but that tends to be more on the bigger models. So if we just switch that in here, hopefully you see, yeah, they're a little bit thick, but they look quite nice, I have to say. You know, don't look too bad. They are beautiful coloured, and again, we've got these metal areas down in here. Looks really nice. So there's your dials for the instrument panels. Got some harnesses, the various parts on there, and actually you've even got the tips for the props if you wanted to go down that route. Although I suppose most of us will be spraying those and doing those by hand. But as you can see, sharp mouths, markings, grills, no problem with those at all. Whilst we're here, my only slight bugbear with these, although they are really, really nice, by the time you cut them out, yeah, you might as well just do it yourself with Tamiya tape, which I have done in the past, okay? But again, it's kabooey, it's really, really nice stuff, this stuff. It sticks on, it doesn't matter if you leave it on a week or a month or a year, even it still holds itself. Whereas obviously other manufacturers, sometimes they do peel and stuff like that. But generally, as you can see, you're all in there. You're just gonna have to go in there with a very sharp knife and cut them all out, which I just wish Tamiya would just pay that little bit extra perhaps. And I don't know, just maybe be very nice if they were die cut and ready to go. Okay, don't normally do it first, but seeing as it's here, let's have a look at the clear parts. Okay, so we've got the clear parts, and Tamiya, they're not always perfect. Sometimes we've had issues, but actually that looks damn good. That looks very, very nice indeed. And again, you often get the people talk about, well, it has centre seams because of this, that and the other. Not on this one, it doesn't. Okay, so you've got the open cockpit glass route, or we've got the sort of closed one at the back. So you're fully closed there, or you say you've got the two part with this one and this one down on there. So we've got gun sights, things like that at the front. And again, they are absolutely crystal clear on all of those. So that's really very nicely done indeed. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start off with the top. Okay, so straight off the bat, that looks really very, very nice indeed. Again, it's got a very nice texture to it, which, you know, is absolutely fantastic. It's probably worth just jumping straight into the close-up with this. But you can probably see you've got those little latches and all the little studs running across this area here. Very subtle. The riveting is extremely subtle on this. Very, very nice indeed. Catching it in the light, as you can see, the riveting detail down in here. Again, when you're in a macro lens like this, it's very easy to take it to granted, but you put your finger next to it, you see how small those little rivets are. Very nicely done, right the way down to these fuel doors for the wing fuel tanks. Really very, very nice indeed. And again, looking at the top of the actual engine cowl there, with the actual studs, and all those areas, that looks very, very nice indeed. On the underside as well, pretty straightforward. As you can imagine, it's pretty blank in there. There's lots, so you can see this locating business all going right the way through. It's funny because the plastic feels a little bit softer than normal. It doesn't feel like normal Tamiya plastic, it just feels a little bit more softer, but it is very, very nicely done. The only thing I am going to pick up on, and hopefully you can see it, is I've got sink marks running down in the backs of these control surfaces at the back, these flap systems. I have actually got a little bit of sink mark in there. Now, how much that's going to show through paint, I'm not sure, but I'm sure you can see it as well as I can, just down on these back ones. And it's not because there's a giant piece of plastic in it, it's just very, very thin. And I think that's the problem. It's just got a tiny little bit in there. You can probably see it there, on this one, on this side especially. Seems a little bit worse than the other side. But again, it may be a case of, once it's got some paint on, it'll be absolutely fine. Sometimes you see them, but by the time they're painted and stuff, it really doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so into baggy 2. I can get him out. So, again, really very, very nice indeed. I have to say the sprue gates to the actual parts, what we're talking about is the little tabs that connect the actual parts to the tree or the sprues. They are absolutely tiny. They're very, very small compared to other things down in here. You probably see this one here. They're square, they're nice, they're chiseled. It's not like they're just hanging on by the skin of the teeth. They're actually properly on there, but they're very small, very, very nice. And again, looking at it, it's very hard to find a single fault with that. There's no ejector pins in anywhere on both sides. You'd imagine they'd be on the back side to everything. So it looks like what they've done is very cleverly thought this one out. So all the parts are only on the face side. There's your little pilot figure, who looks absolutely fantastic. He's got his little oxygen mask off to one side as well. Nice touch. Okay, and then under here, as we can see, again, very, very nicely done indeed. Some great detailing for that. Okay, let's have a look at one of the bigger ones. So we've got the sponsons down the back here. Okay, so when you look at it on here, you start to get the feel for the size of it. It's actually quite a large aircraft. Okay, very nice indeed. So this is sprue F. So if we have a look up here, so here we've got the nose, which looks very, very nice indeed. We've got some of the hatches, obviously we've got the main gear. We've got these wheel wells, which again, because we've got a blind side here with the ejector pins, this is what's really nice now, that we've got it plated. So this is the outer part of the door, that's the inner part, and it's absolutely fantastically done. So kudos to them. Wingtips looking very nice indeed, okay. It's supposed to have that little splitty bit just around the edge as well, so that's fine. Okay, looking our way down. So that's no problem, that's the top of those intercoolers at the back, the actual here. Turbochargers, okay, and then these are those front areas, and again, catch it in the light, you can see the ejector pins. That's because this is very, very thin, but again, I don't think they're actually they're not coming through, it just looks like they are, but they're not. But you can probably see the framework underneath, that shows how thin this plastic is what Tamiya is really getting very clever at, is injection moulding, very, very thin. Okay, the actual engine sort of sponsons, or the cells, whatever you want to call them, on the outside. Looking very nice, good level of detail with all of those, and again you've got multiples right the way through on all of that. So again, very, very nicely done with all of that. On the blind side, that's what's nice about this kit now. Everything you don't care about, it doesn't matter, because none of this is going to be the face size of the actual kit itself. One thing to point out, which has always been a bugbear of mine, it looks like they've nailed it, there's no actual ejector pins on the gear legs. But I can see, oh no, scrap that, I've got a tiny little one at the top here. There is one just up here. I thought there wasn't, but there's one. Normally Tamiya have a couple of them running on. They're always a bit annoying because you have to get in there and you lose perhaps some of the banding detail and stuff like that. But it looks like that's the only one, and I can live with that. That's not too bad at all. Okay, so the wings. So over here on sprue B, we've actually got the little wing sections and the tail planes, and we've got your props all on here as always. Okay, so moving just down in here, we can see we've got the guns, no problem at all, and we've got the props, very, very nicely done. We've got that boarding ladder at the back system that sort of drops down, and then obviously we've got the wing with the actual light underneath and one of those access panels. Pitot tube and everything else. Again, just the level on the pitot tube's absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice indeed. Same basically on the other side, we've got the little pylons. Okay, as we make our way up, very, very nice. And a nice touch is this tailplane. Lots of detail in there, but what's really nice with it, when you flip it over, there's no ejector pins in it, which is really nice because it's quite a large part, especially for Tamiya. And that's good, that's clean. There's none on the actual props either, as you can see. They're very, very nicely done, so no problem with that. And to be honest, even their ejector pins, you can see them down here in this cowl system, they're very, very faint. So the tolerances are really getting there now. Okay, last sprue we've got here. Okay, so we've got the wing spar and loads of detail in here. This is gorgeous, very, very nice. Right, so as you can see, we've got the door actuators there and the bulkheads for the doors. You see plenty of detail down in those, so that's looking absolutely gorgeous. And then down in here we've got some hosing, more actuators. Then we've got the sides, the nose wheel area, as you can see, very, very nicely done. The gear isn't weight on wheels, which I'm surprised about. I thought it would be, but it's not. Okay, top of the actual wheel well itself, and you see running along the bottom there, we've got a lot of that plumbing. These little holes here is where your big steel balls are going to go. Steady at the back. Okay, and then we've got this intake, sorry, the internal details of the wheel wells there. Again, that looks absolutely fantastic. And then there are the said interior doors for the wheel wells as well. So very, very nicely done. Top and the spar system you can running across the top here as well for the actual nose wheel well. So actually that's all very, very nice indeed. The radiators and coolers as well for the engines. And when you flip it over, as you say, looks absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice indeed. And again, the ejector pins are incredibly shallow. Not that you're going to be worried about, but what I mean is you don't have to do anything with them now, you can just leave them. Okay, we've got a match pair, I assume. Perhaps not. No, perhaps I'm thinking out of turn. I thought we did. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do. Okay, so match pair down in here for D, because obviously it's a little bit of dual things going over. So as you can see, we do have the wheels. I am surprised they're not weight on wheels. That's quite weird, actually. I thought they would be, but it's a main door, again, you don't worry about the detail because it's going to have, but amazingly, you can probably see how thin that ejector pin. You know how I always moan about ejector pins with Tamiya? Honestly, if these were on your kit, you wouldn't even worry about it. They're incredibly fine. Perhaps they were listening. I doubt it. Okay, so as you can see, lots of various goodies on here with all the various parts, the teardrops. We've actually got the rudders, the spinner caps, more actuators for the gear, the pendulum for the offset, for the flat ailerons, scoops, all the parts for the engine, the actual intake and cooling system as well there, and there's the actual grills for the radiators. And again, that is really very, very nice. And there you go. I have to say, I wasn't excited. And then I got a little bit excited at Telford when I saw a few, and I was talking to a couple of my friends who had built them. And they were saying, you got to build it. It's like brilliant. And now I've just seen it. I'm like, yeah, I could build this tomorrow. It's one of those kits that I think will genuinely fall together. It looks to be one of those things where I am the biggest critic of Tamiya purely because they are, as far as I'm concerned, they're the best manufacturer out there. And over the years, we've seen firsts with Tamiya. They've done various things, and they've taken the level of detail up and up and up, and the thinness of the injection mouldings, we get thinner and thinner, but they seem to plateau over the last few kits. Then I built the Tomcat, and the Tomcat is like legendary to me because it just falls together. It literally is a beautiful kit. But this thing as well, talking to people who've actually built it and everything, they haven't had a single problem, there's no putty in it, and it literally, the engineering is on another level. And now looking at it and the way this goes together, I can get on with that one. Also from an engineering point of view, and that's a bit where I get a little bit nerdy with, the tolerances it looks like with the ejector pins and things like that, and the sprue gates and all of those things which I normally have a little moan about Tamiya for, it looks like they've nailed it now. If every kit comes out like this, I'm going to be a very, very happy modeler, because the actual ejector pins aren't everywhere like they used to be, and also where they are extremely shallow, and it would either be you wouldn't worry about it, or if you did, it would be a couple of swipes with the sanding stick and job's done. Unusual like other ones where you've had to fill them or carve them out or do whatever you're doing with them. So from that point of view, it absolutely looks amazing. So anyway, that is Tamiya's beautiful, legendary, everyone should go and buy it now, 1/48 scale Lockheed P-38 Lightning.